So the Combine has come and gone. I know I need to really get caught up in terms of the NFL draft, and I'm working on it, ladies and gents, especially the gents, because we know that's mostly who's watching this anyways. I'm trying, all right? Life gets in the way, it gets busy, it gets hectic, but as is so often the case, I'll rally. I promise you I'll rally. But anyways, looking at the Combine and what happened, I've done my best to come up with a one-round updated mock draft. It is in the description box below. You may read it, weep, and then bitch at me about it in the comments section. Have at it. So what shall we talk about? Well, let's talk first about that number 1 overall pick, which belongs to Cliff Kingsbury, Steve Keim, and the Arizona Cardinals. And as we all know, the predominant theory right now is that they have the hard-on for Kyler Murray. They want Kyler Murray. They crave Kyler Murray. And they're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that they take Kyler Murray. And you know what? That would be a Cardinals type of thing to do. To sit there in those years that you had Carson Palmer, that you should have been drafting a young quarterback early to groom him behind Palmer to already have him in place when Palmer inevitably retired. You didn't do it. And then now potentially look at taking a young quarterback in the first round in back-to-back years. After trading up from 15 to 10 to take Rosen last year, now you sit there at number 1 and you take Kyler Murray. That sounds like a freaking Steve Keim thing to do. It sounds like the type of thing a coach in over his head, potentially like at the NFL level, like Cliff Kingsbury would want to do. Instead of focusing on the young quarterback that your team just took and trying to determine whether or not he can actually be the guy, you immediately are ready to turn the page and move on from him and take another guy that has questions in an entirely different way. That's interesting. Now, granted, I'm not the biggest Josh Rosen fan or believer, and all of you that have watched me for a while know that. And watching him in his rookie season, I could sit there on the one hand and say I felt somewhat validated, but the reality is I didn't, because 1, it was a rookie season, and 1 season does not a career make, especially at the quarterback position. 2, he was put in a really bad situation, was botched from the beginning. I mean, for Christ's sakes, he was sitting behind Sam fucking Bradford. His coach was a moron. The offensive coordinator was a dipstick in McCoy. Not a great situation for a young quarterback to be in. So I'd hate to sit there and make a determination that Rosen's not that dude based off of what happened last year. That sounds a bit premature on the ejaculation of disappointment of bust factor for Rosen. Sounds premature. But it sounds like something the Cardinals would do, which would create an interesting secondary market for a quarterback that a lot of teams didn't anticipate being available. If the Cardinals are dead set on taking Kyler Murray number 1 overall, Josh Rosen's going to hit the market. And who's going to be interested in him? Is it going to be a team like the Giants? Is it going to be a team like the Broncos, the Bengals, the Dolphins, maybe the Washington Redskins? I know there's a lot of talk about that here in the RVA area. Be an interesting secondary market that would occur outside of the quarterbacks that are actually available in this year's draft. There's a part of me that wants that to happen just to see the craziness that would ensue. But then I also wonder if this is a big dick pissing contest between the Arizona Cardinals and the Oakland Raiders. I wonder if the Cardinals are making it so glaringly obvious and putting reports out there that they're hard on for Kyler Murray and they have the hots for Kyler Murray in the hopes that John Gruden and Mike McCoy will panic and make the move up to number 1 overall to take Kyler Murray. That's what I wonder. If they're trying to get their hands on one of those other Oakland first-round picks outside of pick 4, one of those later-round first-round picks, if they're saying to themselves, let's see what Oakland does. Let's see what type of package they could come up with. Let's put out there that we love Kyler Murray, and maybe we do, but maybe we really don't, and we're just trying to bluff, and we're trying to see if somebody's going to call the bluff. Because you would have to think the Raiders would at least be interested, because it sounds like a Raiders type of thing to do. It really does. So are the Cardinals really that hard up for Kyler Murray? Or is this a smokescreen? Is this a game that they're trying to play? it could possibly be both a bit of a smokescreen and also the reality that they end up taking Kyler Murray #1 overall. But it's crazy to me for a team that just took a quarterback in the top 10 last year, traded up to get him. 1 year later, most people comfortably feel like the Cardinals are going to take another young quarterback at Kyler Murray. It's crazy to me. But sometimes the draft can be crazy and the NFL can be crazy and sometimes full of stupid. That's the truth. So what would happen with the other quarterbacks in this draft? We'll see with the Giants. They seem to stubbornly want to continue to dig in with Eli Manning, even though they'll allow better players at their position like Landon Collins, who you have to pay a lot less to keep, to walk. It's just dumb. The reality is the Giants need to get a young quarterback. Now, to me, Josh Rosen would make a world of sense for them, but I don't know if I'm giving up the 6th overall pick in this year's draft in order to make that happen. So therefore, a guy like Dwayne Haskins can make a world of sense. Now, the Giants could sit there and be in love with a guy like Daniel Jones for all we fucking know, or a Drew Lock. Hard to know at this point. But Dwayne Haskins has a lot of upside. He's got a lot of work to do, but he's got a lot of upside. And his ability to do some of the things he does with his eyes, pre-snap, be able to read defenses, relatively accurate thrower, good arm strength. Yes, he needs work on his footwork. He's not the most naturally athletic and mobile guy. He's going to be a pocket passer in the league, and that's okay. That's okay. He can be very, very good doing that. The Giants have to come out of this draft with a young quarterback. They have to. To continue to stubbornly dig in on Eli Manning, chasing the glory of seasons long since gone, is just stupid. We hear that the Jaguars are all in on Nick Foles, which sounds like it's probably going to happen. And if it does, then you might as well draft an all-purpose tight end like a TJ Hockenson from Iowa at pick 7. I'd be surprised if Hockenson falls out of the top 10 at this point. It's a pretty good class of tight ends as it is, but when you got a guy who some teams might look at as kind of like a Gronkowski light in this draft, that feels like a top 10 type of talent. And outside of quarterbacks, you would anticipate him potentially being the first skill position player on offense taken in this draft. DK Metcalf, we'll see where his draft stock is, because this is a guy coming off of a neck injury. And yes, he ran really fast at the combine. He looks like he built like a Greek fucking god, but he has no lateral agility and change of direction skills. None. So it's great that he's running 4.3s in the 40, but that's all straight line shit. When you're doing the 3 cone, which tests your change of direction, your agility, he tests at the bottom of the barrel. Somebody's going to gamble on that, like the Bills in the top 10 potentially, and say, hey, at his size, that speed, we can work on some of those other things. But this may be an example of, as ripped and cut as he is, it's maybe not good from a functionality standpoint to be so ripped and cut because you end up really stiff. I'm not saying he needs to be like his dad and be a fat ass. But I am saying maybe a couple extra % of body fat wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, and losing a little bit of that muscle might be helpful to him. As far as the Broncos, God only knows what they're doing. God only knows. I've got him taking Daniel Jones here. I'm not confident in it, and nor does it matter. Because you could be pretty confident that if Elway did take a young quarterback, he'd probably take the wrong one. That's pretty easy to believe in that. And then I've got the Dolphins taking Drew Lock here. Again, it would seem really weird to take Drew Lock when you're ready to move on from Tannehill. How much better would Drew Lock's upside really be than Tannehill's ever was? Are the Dolphins going to wait until 2020 and intentionally tank this year and try to get the top pick and try to get somebody like Tua or Fromm or somebody? Time will only tell, but we'll see. The Redskins, if one of those 4 quarterbacks drop, potentially they'd be interested, but they might be content to ride with Case Keenum. Oh, God. Case Keenum and Colt McCoy as their top 2 options, although I'd be surprised if they were. They have to be of the realization that Alex Smith is not going to play in 2019, hence why they made the move for Case Keenum. Alex Smith may never play again, and even if he did, do you really want to invest anything in him long term in terms of your hopes and your future? I don't think so. And that's why a lot of the talk in this RVA area here up in D.C. is about the Redskins being very hot on Josh Rosen if he does indeed become available on the open market. And in that case, it would make a lot of sense. And if you are the Redskins and it did require pick 15, I think you would have to do it. Because you've got to get that young quarterback. Now, how much of a price could the Cardinals potentially command for Rosen on the market? It depends. Yes, you have a quarterback on a rookie deal, but you have a quarterback with only potentially 4 years left on a rookie deal instead of 5. That impacts it a little bit. He's also coming off of a doo-doo rookie year, so that will impact his stock just a little bit. If you're a team like the Redskins, you would like to be able to do it for 2 second-round picks, one this year and one next year, and not have to give up your first-round pick. But if you're the Arizona Cardinals, you want to hopefully create enough of a market where you get a couple of teams to bid against each other, and hopefully one of them will step up to the plate and give you a first-round pick in order to part with Rosen. That's the goal. That's the plan, because you know that team needs a lot of damn work. Could be an interesting next 7, 8 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever the hell we've got until the NFL draft. Scouting reports will be coming up soon. Check out the mock. Let me know what you think. I'm out of here.